without further ado, did you know Jesus is king?
I knew you were going to say that. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything.
He's the king of pop.
Yes. Okay, that's better. Jesus is the king of pop.
Him and Michael Jackson. Same tier.
Today we're going to be talking about the latest Kanye West record, Jesus is King. Kanye West, obviously Chicago MC and producer. If you don't know about him, I'm sure you've been living under a rock for the past
2 decades.
Yeah. Give or take. First half of his career with classic records like College Dropout, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, Late Registration, Graduation. Really classic records there. 808s and Heartbreak.
Oh yeah, that's what I forgot to put.
Can't forget another fantastic record. Honestly, this guy's track record has been pretty good. His second act of his career, just kind of according to us, started the release with The Life of Pablo, showing Kanye being like more manic and honest and experimental with both the release and the hype of the album and the content of the album itself. There was a really long release cycle for it. It changed names like 3 or 4 times. It was announced on Twitter. I think he fought who was it?
Chris Brown? No,
it was like a Wiz Khalifa.
Yeah.
It was Wiz Khalifa. It was like a 31-point argument about why Wiz Khalifa sucked.
I forgot about that. Nostalgia. That's funny.
It was a really good time. I had a good 2016 because of that. He followed this up in 2018 with a lot of very open Donald Trump support and saying slavery was a choice, which is obviously very controversial.
And very bullshit.
Abrasive. Also, as far as his artistry went outside of his weird public rants, he decided that he was going to release 5 albums in 5 weeks that were all done at his Jackson Hole, Wyoming ranch. Each was about 20 minutes and some change. He produced Pusha T's Daytona, released his own Yay, then did a collaboration with Kid Cudi with Kid See Ghost.
Yeah, the rock hip hop collaboration. Probably the best out of these 5 albums.
It was really weird, but it was really awesome. Then he produced the not so awesome Nas's Nasir,
which isn't his fault. It's more just Nas's.
Yeah, the production was all right, but the Nas is bad. The Nas was bad. And then Teyana Taylor's KTSE.
Yeah. Some very solid R&B.
Yeah. So these were, like I said, this guy's track record was pretty good. And in late 2018, he announced the sequel to Yeezus, Yandhi, which was going to debut on September 29th of 2018. And obviously that did not happen. He dropped Ecstasy and I Love It and Lil Pump, which they performed on SNL, and they wore these like big stupid costumes, and the music video they looked like Roblox characters. Like we've discussed this. And then of course the album was delayed inevitably, but then some tracks from the album started to leak around like June, July of this year. So you had tracks like Alien with Ant Clemens, Hurricane, and 80 Degrees. Last Name featuring Ant Clemens again. He really likes him. Simulation Baptized with A$AP Rocky and Partisan Fontaine. Law of Attraction with, again, Ant Clemens. The Storm with XXXTentacion and Ty Dolla $ign.
Which I'm glad this didn't release because X's verse is complete fucking trash. That is one of the worst verses I've heard in a long while.
Yeah.
It's just comically bad. Just like terrible.
Yes.
I can't emphasize that enough. I think it's almost worth like a listen just to hear how
it's truly bad.
I can't emphasize how it's like if Trippie Redd was just like completely manic and doing his big ugly clown shtick.
Couple other tracks. We Got Love with Ty Dolla $ign and New Body with Nicki Minaj and Ty Dolla $ign again. So obviously we're seeing a lot of the same like features on here, and a lot of people's features got cut. There's a couple with added features. There's like a Alien version with Young Thug in it. I
And
think.
Kid Cudi. So like there's just various versions of different tracks. There's version 80 Degrees with Ant Clements. Recommended tracks, I think 80 Degrees, just the original version, even though it's called Hurricane. The version with Kanye with his very auto-tuned, high frail vocals, very fun, very minimal.
I like
fun
it.
track.
Last Name I think is a good one.
Last Name's pretty good. We Got Love with actually Teyana Taylor, but Tyler Dollar $ign on the notes by accident, which he did perform on SNL.
Right.
And also New Body, which is going to be on this for a long while, which I'm surprised it was even questioned to be put on a gospel album because it's just about Kim Kardashian's like surgeries.
I like Alien as well, but it's kind of stupid.
Alien's just Kanye mumbling
It's
not
dumb,
even getting
but it's
full
catchy.
phrases out.
It's funny.
New Body also has Nicki Minaj's best verse, and when that track leaked, people just kept on hounding her for some reason, even though like that's one of her best verses, even though it didn't get released, which is really weird.
Probably because she's mean.
Over the course of 2019, Ye has been touring around with the Sunday service choir, talking about his devout Christian faith and his ambition to never make hip hop again because it's the devil's music. Also, he told people he told people working on the album not to have premarital sex.
He watched them to make sure that they were not.
They had to sleep in Kanye's home so he could observe.
This is like the second coming of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. They had to be invited to Kanye's house to not have premarital sex. I don't know. These Sunday services have been actually kind of cool. There was one that actually came to our area. Not for that good reason, but definitely it was cool that it was there. And then this album was actually, Jesus is King was accompanied by a film of the same name directed by Nick Knight, and it was shot in IMAX and filmed in the summer of 2019 at the Rodin Crater in Painted Desert, Arizona, which you can see in some of the beautiful landscape shots.
Yeah, it's a lot of very static shots that get like the circle filter put on them, or not like a filter. It's more it's just they're getting cropped in essentially, and the film overall, it's not like we watched it. It wasn't that interesting. There was really good moments to it, but like some of the shots, they like every new song that they do, they perform a song for like 2 to 3 minutes, and it's just that one shot. And sometimes they have this fisheye lens like effect, like when you see the entire choir with Kanye, but for like a good third to half of the film, they're performing just old gospel music.
Yeah, just some classic gospel standards.
And it's not really that interesting. And they're really long, too.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, this is a 38-minute film, and we paid $11 for it. That's more like an IMAX thing. I don't think that's really a Kanye thing in this one scenario. I'll give him a pass on that one. But the shots are very static. Some of them are really interesting. The setting, the set design is really cool. How they're almost in this like subterranean layer that has a giant hole in the.
It almost reminded me of a planetarium.
Yeah,
but except for a planetarium, it was just be a giant hole cut in your ceiling.
They performed some Kanye songs. They performed a gospel version of "Say You Will," which I think was really nice. They also performed like
Kanye himself just did a rewritten version of Streetlights.
Yeah, at the end, which was nice, but they just did the hook 5 times, and it wasn't as interesting when you got around to the 4th or 5th time doing the hook over again. They also did the very, very end of Ultralight Beam, which is weird because that's one of Kanye's most devout Christian gospel songs. And what's the other one? Oh, they performed some tracks off this Jesus is King record. There's an extended version of Jesus is Lord, which is the closer of the album, which is better than this one. We'll get into that in a second. And they also they opened up with Selah, just the vocals of Selah, the hook, the gospel hook. But like the film, it was interesting as like as an inquiry, just like to expect what it was.
Yeah.
Like an oddity.
I liked going just to see, just out of pure curiosity.
I think I had fun for my $11 getting blasted in the face by IMAX speakers, watching the trailer to that new Christopher Nolan film, and us shitting our pants because it was so goddamn loud. But this new album follows Kanye's last year's format of like a 20-minute album, like around 20.
It's
27
It's not
minutes.
even 30 minutes. Yeah. It's just shy of a half hour.
Which I like, because I think when you get to this point, if you mess up, it's very noticeable. Mm-hmm. And that's what I enjoy most about it. I don't think it works for everyone, but I think it works a lot for hip-hop records. Mm-hmm. And some people don't really like it. They like the fuller length, and they say this is more like EP territory, but I really enjoy this format, because when it leaves an impact, like Kitsy Ghost, it leaves a huge impact. And
if you don't like it, it's not that much of an investment. It's not that long.
This isn't a hassle to get through.
Right.
But, big but, sitting over this for a while, I don't care for it. And that's the biggest issue. I think we had a discussion in the car after seeing Jesus is King, and I was talking about some ideas I had of how Kanye could potentially use his faith for power in this one scenario. And you told me something that's actually been on my mind a lot is that you don't think Kanye can be anything but genuine. And that's made me think a lot just about the character of Kanye. Because, like, he's done some sketchy things in his past, like whether it's the Taylor Swift interrupting her at the VMAs or his devout faith in Donald Trump. I don't think he has really an evil bone in his body. I just think he's an idiot. He's a musical genius, but just the other realms, he's just stupid.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think when he tries to do something, he like actually believes in it. But he's shown me a lot more themes of faith and of recovery and of hope in previous projects. We go back to even last year with his solo Yay, which I think is criminally underrated.
Oh, yes.
In some scenarios, people say they just hate that record, or they say only Ghost Town's the only good track off it. No, I think Kanye throughout, yes, he's making dumb liners about none of us would be here without cum, and I want to call up the Muslims, but it's just like... he's always done this. Like, if you listen to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, the most praised Kanye album of all time, sometimes he's just nonsensical on there. It's just completely stupid.
Yeah. He's still making lines like that back on his magnum opus, basically.
Like in Life Pablo, my favorite, our favorite. He's talking about if I bleach my asshole. No,
not his
asshole. Someone else's asshole. If she bleached her asshole, I can't remember for the life of me now. She bleached her asshole, I could bleach in my t-shirt, I'm gonna feel like an asshole.
Yeah.
And for this, I think the biggest problem is not the production, because I think this production, the biggest thing you can say against it is that it's kind of going through the vault of the various years of Kanye. Both production and I think mixing and effects, especially the autotune on a couple of these tracks. You get 808-like autotune and 808-like performance from Kanye at points. You get the track Follow God, very My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy-esque with the sampling and also the guitar and the bass and how they lay out on the same track, creating this very vibrant, bumpy experience. You get moments like Use This Gospel, which has this very reminiscent feeling of Yay. You get On God, which is very reminiscent of the bling era of hip-hop. Also, Watch the Throne in the background synths, the background synth melodies sound like Graduation. So if you're getting these various experiences, these various layers of Kanye being like pulled back. And the production, I don't really have a big enough problem with. I think the biggest problem, and not even the choir, I think the choir on this is fantastic.
They're really good, yeah.
Every hour with these very sporadic piano performances, the sporadic choir, how they're interrupting, so big, so huge.
The Hallelujah build-up on Selah.
Yeah. I think the biggest problem with this is just Kanye's just not that interesting. And he's just saying some stuff that I feel like it's just not cool on this. And it's not like, it's just like, I think he's backtracking in a weird way. Because like even before when he's opened about his like bipolar disorder, I feel like, and like that even like explained like his devout faith for Donald Trump and like why he's doing these things for years, for like a decade now, being so sporadic and weird. I think it explained that a lot. Even like the whole entire album, how it's laid out, explained that a lot. On this, I think Kanye, he made a gospel album and he tries, but it's just, there's no big themes that connect Kanye to his faith. And Kanye's faith has always been a thing where he uses it to his advantage, which I think everyone should use. They should use religion to their own advantage. Not in a way that harms people, but in a way that
helps them
get what you get out of your faith.
Yeah.
And that's always been a thing with Kanye and his relationship with God, or it seemed like his relationship with God. And on this, it just seems like we don't get a lot of that. We just get blind faith. And when he's not talking about blind faith, he's talking about just like trying to romanticize the fact that he's struggling in a weird way. Like he talks about, I think on the track On God, how he sets his prices the way he does to support his family.
Yeah.
No, you don't say you're surprised.
He's not hurting.
He's not hurting. Like you may have been bankrupt 2 years ago or 3 years ago at this point, but that wasn't because you're struggling. Like the cost of living isn't high enough for you. It's because you're a capitalist and you like selling $50 white T-shirts.
Sure.
It's like
Look no further than the merch page currently is out on the website.
you have moments like Chick-fil-A with closed on Sunday, where he brings up Chick-fil-A. Some of his most corniest bars to date.
Cool.
Some of his most corniest bars to date that I think you can make a case for. Yeah, he's done this on other projects, but on this, I just think I can't find a reason why it's there, and it's not really funny.
Being on the hook makes it even worse, I think, because you hear it over and over.
Yeah, and also this thing really doesn't build up. It has this very dramatic guitar to start off with, but it doesn't build anywhere. It doesn't go anywhere. And also, like, the verse has this feel, when you get into it past the hook, has this feel of like it's actually his relationship with God. It feels kind of organic and natural and genuine. It's one of the rare few moments where I feel like Kanye is very genuine in speaking freely on this. But like, it's just cut off at the end. They don't go into another chorus. It's just song's over. We get some moments where Kanye is very watered down, like on the track Water, where we get just this very bland, unenthusiastic verse where he's God's this, or Jesus this, Jesus that, Jesus this. Doesn't
You get some splashing sound effects.
Ant Clements has a good performance across this entire record. I think he does some really good work. I think the pairing makes sense, but
Even on the Yandhi cuts too.
Yeah.
Ant Clements has been
except for 80
surprising.
Degrees, that was the only one I disagree with because Kanye version's
As
better.
far as I'm concerned, that version does not exist.
My favorite, hands down favorite track on this is probably God Is, because it feels frail, it feels overwhelmed, it feels passionate, and it's talking about his relationship with God and what God means to him and what his world and what his family means to him, and it seems natural and he seems human. And I think part of the problem with this album is Kanye just doesn't really... He feels like an alien trying to sell me gospel music.
My favorite track personally is Use This Gospel with Clips and Kenny G. There's a really weird pairing. I love the way it starts out. It sounds like you left your keys in your car and he got out. And you've got these like fake Bon Iver type production in the background. And Kanye's hook on this, I think, is sung really well. But the Clips feature, I think, is probably the most interesting of all because it almost gives like a angel devil on the shoulder kind of thing going on.
I think you
Pusha's,
I think you can kind of... I like No Malice's verse. I think because No Malice is now a Christian rapper. I don't know if you're well aware of that. It makes sense.
He's the angel. Obviously, Pusha T and No Malice, brothers, obviously both cocaine dealers. Well, Pusha's obviously a cocaine dealer, was a cocaine dealer or whatever. No Malice also was. And the way that both characters have evolved over the course of their lives, obviously No Malice feels bad about doing it.
He feels guilty, and that's why he kind of quit hip hop.
Does not whatsoever. I really like that dichotomy between the two. It just feels like they're like both on your shoulder, and the verses one after another. Like I just really like the feel of that track, being like the push and the pull between the two brothers, but also like the chemistry between them because they're obviously in a group together. And then Kenny G playing us out, I think, is one of the weirdest features of the year, but also
he doesn't play us out because the instrumental comes back.
This is true.
Yeah.
But like his solo that he does, I think is it's really excellent.
Yeah, I like it. I like how it comes back in very fade. Like there's a fade and it comes back in a little bit. I have to disagree a little bit. I get where you come from on the Clips verse. I like this track. Two things I want to bring up. First, I don't agree with the Pusha thing. Because his verse doesn't come off as like devilish.
No, I'm going by
I think it's more on the personality.
Alone.
That makes sense, but it like
his verse,
he hasn't made atonement or like tried to even act like he's guilty about what he's done before because he keeps on bringing it up, and you're constantly in like 85% of the tracks. This track and the IDK track Porno is probably the only two tracks
he does not bring it up.
But No Malice I really enjoy. Another problem I have with this track, there's a version called Chakra's Law of Attraction on Yandi, which takes this instrumental. And what I liked about that version is it kind of reminisced of the Call to Fame and essentially getting whatever you asked for, wishing, and the problems of that, kind of like a monkey paw effect, which I think is really interesting on that version. On this, like, the lyrics don't really fit that well. The performance is still the same, and I think it's more grandiose this time, but I think I related more to the original version. And I guess you can't really knock it because what you get is what you get.
Right.
But also, I don't think the lyricism on this just feels like fill-in Jesus words.
Yeah, kind of.
Just like a Jesus Mad Lib type deal. And you can go on to like other tracks like the throughout the album, and it kind of feels like that in moments, like on Water, I think, too. Everything We Need was on it was like a gospel, or not a gospel, it was a Sunday service song that was performed, and it got like meshed with other leaks for Yonde. There wasn't like an actual studio version of it, but it was on Yonde.
I missed the choir.
The choir, and it's the actual version of the choir is in the film. And it's I love Ty Dolla $ign and Ant Clements. I think they work with Kanye great. And Ant Clements, like his ad lib performance with the
yeah,
it's fantastic. But the choir does it so much better. Like the choir does that part too, and I think it fits Kanye a lot more.
Yeah. I think that could have been such a cool, powerful track, even if it would have gone on for longer. Like, this is a shorter track, but the choir cut's like 4 or 5 minutes, and I didn't mind it at all. I loved listening to that.
Yeah, Jesus also, one final thing I want to get to. Jesus is Lord has, I don't know if I brought this up earlier, Jesus Lord has a full version in the film where the horns...
That's the ending of it.
It's the credit song.
Yeah.
It expands out with the horns, and it's magnificent. This version's only 49 seconds, and it doesn't feel finished. It
cuts off out of nowhere.
It doesn't, and that's the last impression you're left with, is it's just like, is that it? And it makes this album feel really short.
Yeah.
Too short almost. One final thing I want to touch upon, I think this is probably the thing. Kanye comparing himself to Jesus on Selah. He it's not like, that's not the only thing he talks about on that. So it's like, I think Sailor's one of the better tracks, but especially with the Hallelujah on the hook by the choir, I think it's magnificent. But he's nowhere near the status of Jesus. Jesus was stabbed in the back. Kanye was not.
He had his laptop stolen, okay? That's bad.
But like, Kanye's always been like in media scrutiny, and the faster he realizes that he's always going to say problematic stuff, and people are not going to take it the same way, and people have different opinions on the way the world's going to be, I think the better it will be for him to not seem as a victim sometimes. And I think it would get people to respect him even more.
Yeah.
And on this, it comes off as a victim. Also on Hands On, talking about the Christians and how they're not going to, they don't care about this record. And no surprise, because one, Christians don't listen to hip hop unless it's NF and very pretentious and not even hip hop at that point, just like watered down pop music. And also, it's like, if you're gonna complain about it, what's the point of making a gospel album? I think gospel albums more supposed to be spread praise and spread faith,
right?
Spread the doctrine in a nice way, and spread ideas of humanity and hopefulness. But if you're just gonna complain about Christians, I don't understand the point,
right?
Because again, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in organized religion. It just doesn't work for me. But like, it just seems kind of petty, even though it, like, Kanye's right, but it just seems petty from his perspective.
Yeah. I thought about this a little bit, or I feel like he kind of paints himself into this like weird corner, because like, I don't even think, like, not to say that Christians don't listen to hip hop, I think is a severe understatement, because like,
I'm just saying about like a very
devout Christian is going to generalize hip hop into just being about sex, drugs, and violence, which is not true. But I don't know, to say, like, for Kanye to say, like, the Christians don't care about this album, blah blah blah, like that could have been a theme that was touched upon in here. But, like, honestly, I think what we're left with for Jesus is King is kind of my final thought. What we're kind of left with this record is just this fleeting moment for Kanye, like, of just his manic personality, where I think that Ye was maybe his low. I think this is his high, and I don't know how long he's going to ride this. I don't know how long it's going to last. It could be years, it could be months, it could be over tomorrow, but for now, I think this is what we're going to get.
Yeah,
I don't know how much of the stuff he actually buys into wholeheartedly when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I don't think he's, like, my honest opinion, we're not getting another Kanye gospel album. I don't think so, because he's always changed and he's always evolved. We didn't get 808 and Heartbreaks like 4 times in a row.
This is true.
So, like, why would we get this 4 times in a row? He constantly switches up what he's doing. Maybe if he's, like, very successful in finding a Christian audience, yes, but I don't think so far he's been successful in that. He's been successful in getting Kanye fans to listen to gospel
The people
music.
that like Kanye and hip hop don't want to listen to it because he's boring, and the people that like gospel music and Christian music aren't going to like it because it's Kanye.
Yep. And that kind of brings up the summary of what this album is. I think Kanye is just probably the worst part about this in a weird way, because usually it's the best part of his own records. His personality is the best, and this one he's just very flat. Keep in mind, all scores, if you're telling me this right now, I'm feeling a 5- on this.
I give it a 5.
Yeah.
There's tracks I definitely like and want to continue to go back to. Every Hour, Selah, Follow God, God Is, Useless Gospel, Jesus is Lord. There's good tracks for sure, but a lot of them have a lot of flaws that don't make them as enjoyable to listen to as they could be.
Yeah, also, Close on Sunday was supposed to have a Young Thug Devil verse, and that got cut. Probably because Young Thug couldn't stop nutting. He just kept on nutting. Kanye had to cancel him off the album.
Young Thug's canceled.